Quick question. Did you know that 11 years ago, scientists actually had proof that they had a solution for diseases like obesity, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and a whole lot of other diseases? Let's talk about that. You know, when I went to nursing school, we learned about 2 different diabetes. One was a non-insulin dependent diabetic, and one was an insulin dependent diabetic. So one requires insulin and one doesn't. Let's talk about the insulin dependent diabetic first, which is type 1. That is an autoimmune disease. They no longer produce insulin. Diet, exercise, and any kind of change they make in their lifestyle cannot reverse the disease. Their beta cells have been destroyed, and they are dependent upon insulin for the rest of their lives. Now let's talk about type 2, which is the non-insulin dependent diabetic. It's supposed to be. That is caused by insulin resistance. Either they're not producing enough insulin or their body has become resistant to it. Now, diet, exercise, and any medications can help them produce more insulin, but their beta cells deteriorate over time. And insulin injections may be required at some point. It doesn't mean they have to have injections. So out of all the patients that are diagnosed with diabetes, only 5% have type 1 and 95% are diagnosed type 2. Most of the type 1 diabetics are diagnosed under 40 years old, but most of the type 2, they're over 40 years old. Type 1s, they're insulin dependent, so they have to take insulin every single day to survive. But on type 2, they can actually change their diet, exercise, and maybe only have to have a little bit of insulin. And in 2021, more than 30 million Americans had diabetes and 7.4 million relied on insulin to manage their disease. And insulin has been found to be one of the most costly drugs on the market. Also in 2021, there was an increase in new diabetes diagnosis and worsening of pre-existing diabetes complications. As well as by the end of 2021, the death rates were over 50% higher than ever before. So if the number of deaths are on the rise, it's just astounding to me that we don't hear about this on the news or we don't hear about the solution. I'm going to follow up with another video about a solution that I sought out. I did my own research trying to find something for my husband who was diagnosed with pre-diabetes. So you may want to watch that next video.